Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's T-Dub Unplugged, and I'm back here in Puerto Vallarta. It's 2023 summer, and I'm here at Playa Gemelas, which is Twin Beach. It's one of the prettier beaches here in PV. The last time I was here, we got caught up in a hurricane. We were chilling. We had heard rumors, saw the news reports that a hurricane might hit the Pacific coast of Mexico, the Manzanillo, Acapulco area. I was aware of it, but I didn't think it would hit us. Like, look how pretty this beach is. And the clouds are already forming, so it's probably gonna rain. Look at that. So I was aware of the potential that the hurricane might hit. I didn't pay too much mind. I kept doing my thing. There was this loudspeaker where they make announcements near our Airbnb. Actually, it's right outside the window. And if you've ever been to Mexico or most of Latin America, you'll know that they'll have these propane trucks pass by that be like, Sony gas. And they'll make announcements. The paleteros will talk, the vendors will speak. Sometimes trucks will pass by with loudspeakers advertising what they're selling. So that's what I thought it was. And the dude kept speaking. I'm half asleep. And so my wife, whose Spanish isn't that great, but it's good enough for her to recognize that he was saying something important, she was like, hey, he keeps saying something about a storm or something. Could you tell me what he's saying? And I'm half asleep. So I'm like, oh, he's talking about paletas or something, like, because I kept hearing tropical. And I'm thinking like tropical fruit drink or tropical paletas. I know it's stupid, but again, I was half asleep. She started shaking me and was like, I think he's saying something serious. So I kind of sat up and I started listening, and at that point he started saying it in English, and he was saying that a hurricane was gonna hit. And I was like, what the fuck? So I threw on my clothes, I checked the phone, and it said that category 1 or 2 hurricane might hit PV. So we went to the OXXO and started getting water, other items, food items, because we didn't know how long this would last. We got some food at a local restaurant and we're chilling at the cafe, and suddenly the rain just starts pouring like crazy. It just started coming down hard, harder than I've ever seen it. The streets started getting flooded, and the girl at the cafe was like, yo, the hurricane's hitting. My wife and I grabbed her stuff. We dipped back in the OXXO, got some more water, because we're like, we don't know how long this is gonna last. So we start walking back towards the room, and the winds were just so fucking strong that we couldn't walk. Like, it was literally pushing us. And we got scared at that point. I didn't think we were gonna make it to our room. It was within walking distance, but it was far enough to where if a hurricane was hitting, I don't know, man. See, we're all hiding out on this. At least I got my coffee and my booze. So we tried to call an Uber, that didn't work. No taxis were coming, clearly. And the streets were starting to flood. So we start walking the opposite way, trying to go with the wind gusts, not against it. And that was a little better, but we were getting drenched. And as we're walking, there's water swirling in the street, and there's like a vortex. And we had to cross all through the water, and it was like knee high. And it was some scary shit. This is Puerto Vallarta, and we're being hit by a category 1 hurricane. And we just crossed through that. There's like a vortex, and we were like knee deep in the water. This shit is crazy. In hindsight, 2020, you could laugh about it and joke, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it actually was, because 2 people lost their lives. One woman got washed away in her car, and another kid died when one of the buildings collapsed, because there was a bunch of mudslides and the Rio Quale completely flooded over. The whole complex collapsed, and unfortunately the kid lost his life, and they never found the woman. Well, I'm sure they found her eventually, but 2 people lost their life. A bunch of other people further up the coast died. It caused a bunch of damage. It had messed up the Malecón. I didn't put the footage up at the time because I thought it was kind of insensitive. It was an experience that I was in that was very terrifying at the time. The Airbnb we were at, it leaked a lot, and already when it would rain, it would flood in. We were scared that the damn building might collapse or some shit. I'm really enjoying my vacation.
Now, what did you say?
There's a theme to this vacation. Either we have no water or too much water.
Oh my god. I guess we're laughing?
Yeah, ironically, that building has been completely demolished now. The Airbnb we were staying in, and they're gonna build condos. So it's gone anyway. Amazingly, it held up pretty good. The wind gusts were pretty strong, and by the time the hurricane hit, it was downgraded to a tropical storm. But still, nonetheless, it was terrifying, and it caused a lot of damage, and it claimed a few lives. Now it's bright and sunny. I'm back in Vallarta, and it's a beautiful, hot, humid day. This is what it is. Around that time too, in 2021, the pandemic was still going. All the COVID regulations were still in place. They were kicking people out of the beaches at a certain time, especially in Mazatlan.
Cops would always post up on the Malecón and harass people about wearing their mask or about social distancing, and they would hand out tickets in some instances. They even had drones come out announcing that you had to wear your mask and social distance and all that other stuff. They were bugging. Like when we were drinking coffee, they'd come and tell us that we had to put our mask on because of COVID regulations, and would point out, how are we supposed to drink our coffee if we're wearing a mask? And they'd be like, take a sip of the coffee and then put your mask back on. That's fucking stupid.
Come on, Mazatlan, you can do better.
This dude is blatantly drinking in front of the female police officer while she's giving them a lecture about wearing their mask, so he offers her some tequila, which she politely declines.
Mantenga la sana distancia y evite aglomeración.
They were fucking tripping over there. You had to wear your mask when you sat on the Malecón. They weren't as strict here in Jalisco, and definitely not in Sayulita. They didn't give a fuck. But here in Jalisco, a lot of the bars closed, especially in the gay area. They closed that whole section off because of COVID. This town is known as a gay tourism destination. So for a lot of the gay visitors, the LGBTQ visitors, they had nowhere to party, and they closed all that shit down. The pandemic's over, and it's a completely different experience. Everything's open. You hardly see anyone wearing a mask anymore, and all of the COVID regulations are over. It's hot as hell, so I'm gonna dip back under this umbrella, chill for a little bit, and break down and get out of here before it starts raining. It's pretty much around this time, it rains at least once a day. Sometimes it'll rain until nightfall, sometimes it'll rain for an hour or two, and then it'll stop. I think today it's gonna rain a little bit, and then it'll probably stop before the sun goes down like yesterday. Peace. T-Dub.